Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Topical English Vocabulary with me, teacher Tiffany. In this week's episode, I'm going to teach you 5 English vocabulary words related to the topic of gardening. That's right. I want you to be able to speak English confidently and fluently about this topic. So, these 5 English vocabulary words are going to be crucial for you to understand how to use properly. Are you ready? Well then, let's jump right in. Now, the very first word is one I really want you to understand. Our very first word is harvest. Good. Again, harvest. Excellent. Now, this term harvest, again, we're speaking about this topic of gardening. Harvest, it just means to gather ripe fruits, vegetables, or herbs from a garden. In English, we say harvest. I remember, wow, this has been, well over a decade, probably almost 2 decades. I remember very clearly going out with my mom and my sister. There was a strawberry, I guess you can say a farm, and the individuals who owned the farm allowed people to come and pick strawberries, and we would pay for like a bushel or a barrel, right? I remember in the hot sun, sitting on the ground, literally getting the strawberries off of the plants. I was gathering strawberries. I was harvesting. Makes sense, right? Yes, again, harvest just means to gather ripe fruits, vegetables, or herbs from a garden. So let's check out the first example sentence. Here we go. It's time to harvest the tomatoes when they turn red and juicy. Next, our second example sentence we have, the joy of harvesting homegrown vegetables is a rewarding experience for many gardeners. You got it? Excellent. All right. And our third example sentence, the harvest season varies depending on the type of plant and your local climate. Yes, you got it. Excellent. So, once again, our very first vocabulary word related to gardening is harvest. Excellent. Very good. All right. Now let's move on to our second vocabulary word related to gardening. The second vocabulary word after me is seedling. Good. Again, seedling. Excellent. Now, this term seedling, it literally just refers to a young plant that has just sprouted from a seed. I want you to imagine you're trying to start your new garden, so you put lots of seeds in the soil. Each day you water it gingerly because you're so excited. And then one day you come and you look at your pot, and what do you see? You see a small plant sprouting from the seed. You see the seedling. You got it? Excellent. Once again, it refers to a young plant that has just sprouted from a seed. Now, let's check out the example sentences using this word. Here's the first example sentence. Here we go. Once seedlings have developed several sets of leaves, you can transplant them into larger pots or your garden bed. Next, delicate seedlings need protection from strong winds and harsh sunlight. And finally, growing your own seedlings from seeds is a cost-effective way to start your garden. You got it? Excellent. So, once again, our second vocabulary word related to gardening is seedling. Excellent. And our first word? Yes, the first word again, harvest. Very good. All right, let's move on now to number 3, our third vocabulary word related to this topic. After me, dormant. Good. Again, dormant. Excellent. Now, this term dormant, it literally just refers to being in a state of inactivity. Just like that pause there. Being in a state of inactivity. Now, this usually happens during the winter or other unfavorable conditions. Dormant. You're just in this state of inactivity. Think about a bear. Now, bears hibernate, but even that hibernation can be considered a dormant state. They're not active. They're just sleeping. Yep. For those watching the video, you saw me close my eyes. Again, it just refers to moments of inactivity or a state of inactivity, and it usually happens in the winter or unfavorable conditions. That's when it usually occurs. So I want us to check out this first example sentence. Here we go. Many plants become dormant in the winter when they stop growing and conserve energy. Next. During their dormant period, some plants may lose their leaves or appear dead. And finally, it's important to avoid overwatering dormant plants as they require less moisture. You got it? Excellent. All right. So again, number 3, we have this term. Again, speaking about gardening, dormant. Very good. Number 2, seedling. And what's number 1? Yeah, you got it after me. Harvest. Excellent. All right, now let's move on to number 4. Number 4, again, speaking about gardening. After me, repeat after me, blooming. Excellent. Again, blooming. Great job. Now, this term blooming, it literally just means to produce flowers. To produce flowers. I want you to imagine maybe you're home and your husband comes home and he brings you flowers and they're absolutely beautiful. There's a flower of every color, and then you see 2 or 3 flowers in the middle that are kind of closed. They haven't opened up yet. And a few days go by, and then they start to open. And then you notice on the side, another flower starts to come up as well. To produce flowers. This plant, he brought you a bouquet of flowers and also a plant. I'm adding now to the story, don't worry. He also brought you a plant, and the plant has flowers coming up out of it. Again, to produce flowers. I was very tempted to draw a picture, but we're going to continue with the lesson. I enjoy drawing. Here we go. All right, so blooming, to produce flowers. Here's the first example sentence. My roses are blooming beautifully this year thanks to the mild weather. Next, the garden is bursting with color as all the spring flowers are blooming. And finally, knowing the blooming time of different plants helps you plan your garden for a continuous display of color. You got it? Excellent. So once again, number 4 after me, blooming. Good. Number 3 after me, dormant. Excellent. Number 2. Yes. Hold on. Let's go back up. Here we go. Number 2, seedling. And number 1 after me, harvest. Great job. All right. Now let's move on to our 5th vocabulary word. Again, speaking about gardening. Our 5th vocabulary word after me is vining. Excellent. Again, vining. Great job. Now, this term vining, it literally just refers to a plant that climbs or trails and needs support to grow upright. A plant that climbs or trails and needs support to grow upright. I want you to think about a home. Maybe you were walking in an old part of your city or your town, or maybe you went to a city in Europe and you saw these plants that were literally attached to the buildings. And it seemed like they were just going up and up and up higher. Vining, again, a plant that climbs or trails and needs support to grow upright. Makes sense? Excellent. All right, now let's check out the example sentences. Here we go. The very first one. Tomatoes and peas are vining plants that require stakes or trellises to grow properly. They require stakes or trellises to grow properly. Now, for those watching, I'll very quickly show you what that looks like. Again, when you have these plants, let's say tomatoes in your garden, right? Tomatoes, like the sentence said, they need some sort of support in order for them to grow properly, right? Vining, again, holding on to the support, and then you have the plants or the fruits actually growing on the plants, depending on what you're growing. Again, in English, we say vining, all right? So next, let's go to our second example sentence. Here we go. Clematis is a beautiful vining flower that can add vertical interest into your garden. It might be clematis or clematis. It's the name of flower. I'm going to say clematis. We'll leave it there. Again, clematis is a beautiful vining flower that can add vertical interest to your garden. Next, our third example sentence. Choosing the right support system depends on the weight and growth habit of your vining plant. You got it? Excellent. All right, so one more time, number 5 after me. Vining. Excellent. All right. Number 4. Yes. Blooming. Number 3. Dormant. Number 2. Seedling. And number 1. Harvest. Excellent. All right. Now what I want to do is read a paragraph to you that uses each of the words you just learned. Remember, we're speaking about gardening, and we learned harvest, seedling, dormant, blooming, and vining. Now I want you to listen closely as I read a paragraph that includes each of the words. Here we go. Gardening is a delightful way to connect with nature and watch life blossom before your eyes. As winter loosens its grip, dormant bulbs begin to sprout, pushing shy seedling leaves towards the warming sun. Tender care is needed during this vulnerable stage, protecting them from harsh elements until they establish strong roots. Beautiful vining flowers can be strategically planted to weave their way through an archway, creating a stunning vertical cascade of colorful blooms throughout the season. With consistent watering, sunshine, and perhaps some organic fertilizer, your garden will erupt in a vibrant display of blooming flowers and flourishing vegetables. The satisfaction of harvesting homegrown tomatoes, crisp lettuce, or fragrant herbs makes all the effort worthwhile. And the cycle begins anew as you have seeds for next season's bounty. This paragraph, so good, in my opinion, helps you understand how to use these words in real life. Again, we have dormant, seedling, vining, harvesting, and blooming all in one paragraph. This is how you improve your English and expand your English vocabulary. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you start using these 5 vocabulary words related to gardening starting today. Remember, if you want to receive from me each and every day from Sunday to Friday an email with 5 new vocabulary words related to different topics each day, all you have to do is go to www.dailyenglishvocabulary.com and I'll send it to you for free each day from Sunday to Friday. My friend, until next time, remember to speak English.